You've heard of automobile accidents, but what are secondary accidents and how are they handled? We're joined right now by attorneys Jeffrey Ward and Brandon Dawson with a thumbs up, guys, to tell us everything we need to know. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Great to have you guys here. Okay, what are secondary accidents?
Yeah, so you have your primary accident, that's the original collision, and then what happens after that, whether it's due to someone rubbernecking, watching the wreck or watching the carnage of the wreck that just happened, or you stop for that wreck and somebody's not paying attention and plows into you. The secondary accident is the wreck that happens after the initial one for a whole host of reasons, but they're called secondary accidents because they are essentially like a chain reaction from the first, but not actually related to the first.
Why do they happen so frequently here in South Carolina?
Because we have terrible drivers. People aren't paying attention, right? And everybody wants to see what's going on, as Jeff alluded to. You have rubbernecking, and then you also have kind of these sudden stops, right? If somebody just plows into somebody ahead of you, that abruptness, can cause that secondary accident to occur. And so you really want to make sure you're keeping a safe distance because, again, if you're slamming on brakes because something in front of you happened and you get hit, I mean, that's just a secondary accident. It doesn't really have anything to do with the first one. And yes, that might have had the reason you slammed on brakes, but if you plowed into somebody because of that, you're still at fault. I mean, you still have to keep a safe distance from the vehicle in front of you to stop in case something suddenly occurs, even if that is rubbernecking or, them slamming on brakes because they weren't paying a lot of attention.
Yeah, Brandon nailed it. We have so many wrecks, especially on highways, and the speed limit is significantly faster on a highway. It's much harder to stop, so someone in front of you does, completely brake and avoid that wreck. If you're not paying absolute attention at that time, you have very little reaction time to also slam on your brakes, and it's so bang bang. That's why we see so many secondary accidents, because there's a lot of accidents on our highways. They're happening at high rates of speed, little time to react. So if you're not paying attention, and attentive driving is terrible these days, you're going to have an influx of secondary accidents as well.
Yeah, one other thing I'll add is a lot of times you'll see, a wreck and then traffic's really slow, and then inevitably a second or a third wreck that happens in that slow traffic, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I think a lot of that has to do with people feel like, oh, we're going at a lower rate of speed, and they get on their phones, and they're doing stuff on their phone. Traffic picks up, they think they can go, they put their head back down. In fact, they're stopping. Boom, second, third wreck happens. So again, there's a rule out there, law. You cannot be on your phone. Doesn't matter if it's slow traffic, fast traffic. You can't be on your phone, and it's designed to eliminate a lot of these sort of situations. So,
who can be held liable if a secondary accident happens after another crash?
So it's going to be the person who caused the second accident. There's in insurance terms, they define like when a payment's made based on an occurrence. So the primary occurrence in this situation was the actual accident, but that's not applicable to you in your wreck. The secondary accident is a whole separate occurrence. They're separate and distinct, even though yours was tangentially related to the first one. Your occurrence, the insurance involved with the person who hit you, that's all that's going to come into play here. Nothing to do with the primary accident that led to all of this.
If you're injured in that secondary accident, what steps should you take to protect yourself?
Same thing as always, call the cops, take pictures, if you're injured, go get checked out. All the things we've been telling you guys for the last couple of years on here.
Yeah, one important thing though, if the cops are already out there for the second accident, make sure they're doing a separate police report. You do not want to be lumped in with that first one. You want a separate police report with its own report number, everything else. You need yours to be distinct and separate, and the best way to do that is make sure the cops do what they're supposed to.
Great tip there. Thank you guys both so much. Guys, you can go to inpain.com, call that number, and follow the Thumbs Up Guys on social media. Thank you.
Thank you.